Good morning, good afternoon and good evening. You join me, Sound a Set of Tyres, at the chicane of Clay Pigeon. A set of tyres that I am sure over the course of the day, the weekend, will be misplaced once or twice, or rather those ones right there, they're probably the ones that are more likely to go flying, but these ones have been known to on occasion as well. So let's get ourselves up with some old man noises and have a little bit of a walk, shall we? At the moment it's dry, which is nice and dry. Although I think it's going to get wet today. First bit of real wetness I think that we're going to have during the course of the year. It was a little bit wet at Butmore, but apart from that, it's been pretty dry all year, which will be interesting, seeing as the Mitas tyres that we're going to be running today and tomorrow apparently aren't that good in the wet. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there, and if everyone just disappears off into the ether going into turn one. But hopefully not. Hopefully people can keep it on the island. Now, Clay Pigeon, a bit of a historic circuit, a little bit like Rissington in a way, in terms of age. You can come back quite some time and see videos of a young Jensen Button honing his craft around the curves and the bends of Clay Pigeon. It's very much one that if you're in rhythm, well, I suppose that's the case of any kart circuit if you're in rhythm, but if you're in rhythm it flows really nicely. If you find yourself having to be quite defensive, it's a difficult circuit to get round quickly. There are some circuits where you can defend and not lose too much time. Clay Pigeon isn't really one of them, mainly because there aren't really any slow corners. It's all medium and fast speed corners, which, yeah, if you end up having to go tight into a corner to avoid being overtaken, it's just going to really hurt you. And you very quickly lose ground. The carts in front and the carts behind just mount the pressure more and more. But hopefully today we'll find ourselves going forward more than we will going backwards. That's the aim, at least. Anyway, a bit mixed Clay Pigeon in previous years. I feel like, touch wood, the Saturdays have normally been quite good, and then the Sundays have been a little bit more of a mixed affair. Mainly it comes down to here, where is it that you start on the grid? If you're in the first couple of rows, you can probably get away with being on the even side of the grid, but as soon as you get maybe from 6th down, or sometimes even 4th down, because of the nature of the first couple of corners, you just get hung out to dry. It's probably actually better to be somewhere like 5th or 7th than it would be to be 4th and 6th. But yeah, we'll see. We'll always obviously try and qualify as high up as we can. And then as we go down towards that first corner, hopefully we don't end up put into those grandstand seats. Oh look, there's a wild Ryan has appeared with his camera. His camera's a bit fancier than mine. It's going, ugh. Let's try and not die. Ugh. Yeah, are you John today?
Yeah. It's too early for the Scottish accent. I'll try that later.
Yeah, we'll make sure when you do, we'll get you on camera. How have you got on here before?
I really like the place. I nearly won last time, I think it was last year, but then I got bundled off by the back markers, then you all steamed past me.
Oh yeah. Because that wasn't that one where like you...
I was actually running 3rd, but Anwar and someone else I think had a penalty.
Yes, and then I think you had quite a decent motor, didn't you? But I think for some reason your balance or something wasn't quite right. So I felt like we'd catch up with you coming through like the twisty bit here, and then sort of through down like the main straight, then up towards the hairpin, like you'd take it back. So it was, like as soon as you got past, it was incredibly difficult to get past.
And we obviously had penalty gate here. Where, we lost our positions because we got absolutely scammed.
Yes, what was that? That was
the yellow flag.
Yeah,
so
the yellow flag going into the last.
We were all bundled up behind people, and then when we finally got clear track, we then set our best sectors, even with a yellow flag there, because you could just roll into that corner, pick up the speed,
and it was
Better
always
get a better exit probably.
yeah, and it was always going to be faster because the last couple of laps had all been compromised.
Yeah, we were stuck behind someone, so that was unfortunate. I had a good race here when there was 4 of us, me, Anwar, Andrew. Was it you? Oh, it might have been. I don't know. There was 4 of us, and we had a slipstream battle, and we were stuck to each other the whole race. It was really good fun.
That might have been the year that I sort of changed to heavies halfway through.
Yeah, maybe. But that was really good. Yeah, I've always had pretty good races here. I really like the place, and I think it'll be even nice with the extra power, because this was always sort of, if you do it just right, you can hold it flat, like this whole sort of like after the first corner. Yeah. But with a bit of extra power, it might be a bit more of a balance to try and thread the chicane. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. I really love the flow of this track. I don't have any complaints about it. Apart from the bump in the final corner is really off-putting. Where you go whoop, and then you jump in. The bump in the final corner.
I can't claim to remember the bump in the final corner.
So you just on entry, it's like you go oi, and then you chuck it in, kind of thing.
Okay. Maybe I've just been doing it wrong for years.
I may be taking the wrong line.
Yeah.
It's, the grass throwing up on my side is really weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, there's normally like a skip in, and you just But it's like right on the sort of nice point where you want to either brake or do something about. I normally just lift over it because I don't know what to do.
Yeah, I remember the first time I came here with Club 100, because I'd come here as part of Super 1 when I was doing owner driver, and I was nowhere near good enough to be doing Super 1. And the first time here with Club 100, I just could not get that last corner right. Yeah, it's just awkward. I think I did it right once the entire weekend. And like the rest of the time, and like since then, it's like, okay, I know how to do it now. But that was the most frustrating. I feel like God knows how many laps.
I feel like it's one of those ones where you always feel when you come out of it like, oh, I could have done that. I've not easy to track it. Yeah, you always feel like you could have gone in. I should have done it a little bit faster. Yeah. But the other thing that's really good is in the wet. This first kink.
Yeah. You can just get
I remember the first. I can't remember if it was one of the first years I did it, but I obviously wasn't trying to go that fast because I literally would just be like as much lock as I could trying to get around there. It just felt so fun. It wasn't fast. Although I did used to pass people down there actually, so maybe it got me some drive. But
yeah, well, I mean, you'll be able to do that today because it's going to rain at some point. I think it's going to rain for about 12ish, although it's so windy that it can blow it in faster.
We've had it before where it sort of like blows through pretty quick and it doesn't actually set that much.
No, it dries quickly here as well. I suppose that's the benefit of being so sort of. Well, I suppose we're not right on the coast here, but we're sort of towards the top of a hill, so you get a little bit of a blasting from the wind. But yeah, like you're saying, with it being windy here, you can find yourself in a little bit of a slipstream train, a bit like a DRS train in Formula 1, but not as fast. As I tuck into a rather nice looking bacon and egg bat, I suppose the aims section of today is no different to what it's been before, like trying to make sure that trying to finally get a podium for SP40, which seems to have been a near impossible task so far this year. And for the SP60, it's just going to be a case of making sure that we stay in front of or as close to Ryan as is possible, which is easier said than done, especially as like we were saying a minute ago, you can get into a little bit of a slipstream chain. So I suppose if it is going to be wet this afternoon, which in all evidence suggests that it will be, that might be the difference maker as to who is the better wet driver. I think today we also have the added bonus of some people missing and some people being here that aren't normally. So in the SP40, Kurt isn't here today, but then in the SP60, I'm pretty sure we got Angelo Neal back for another one-off event. I say one-off event, he was at the last one, so it's not really one-off, it's two off, assuming he's not there any more of the year. As always, step one will be qualifying well. Even better if that qualifying can be on the pole side of the grid, and you'll join me at the start of race 1, where you shall also find out how qualifying went. So whilst I finish this rather tasty bacon egg bat, I'll see you in a minute. What bump? I can't see the bump. I've got my glasses on as well. So qualifying, not that bad. It was good fun. It started off quite greasy, and then sort of right towards the end, a couple of the corners were pretty much dry. First corner was near there. The chicane was still quite greasy, and there was definitely a dry line developing sort of round the first hairpin. I obviously wasn't dry, but you could sort of run a bit more central on it. But then the rest of it was still pretty slippy. But yeah, it was good fun. Fifth in the end. Pretty much everyone set their best lap on the final lap of the session, as you would in a session such as that. But yeah, fifth put us on the right side of the grid for race one.
I just can't do it, Captain. I don't have the power.
I just pulled the slowest kart. So SP40, your grid for race 2 is based off your fastest lap for from race 1. And yeah, considering I kind of like to think that I'm normally towards the front, like kind of expecting to be top 5, but anything close to that is still kind of acceptable. I'll be starting 19th for race 2. Yeah, that wasn't ideal. But towards the end it started raining, and in the wet the disadvantage of the kart kind of like gets nullified somewhat. But yeah, the restart didn't go well. Like because the back marker that was in front of me when the yellows came out, he just like never kept the gap tight as we went over the line, so there was already a massive gap to the front pack. And then by the time I'd sort of broken that down, which I kind of felt like I was quick in the wet, all things considered, yeah, there just wasn't any sort of time to make up enough. And then on the last lap it had dried just enough to the point where the power issues started coming back, so Stuart just got so much more drive off the hairpin, and it put him in front. But hey-ho, it is what it is, and it'll make race 2 interesting, at least coming from 19th, especially if it's wet. That should be quite good fun. But we'll see. I'm a bit soggy now. Yeah, I'm damp, and now I have to work out whether or not I change suit and put a wetsuit on, or whether I just accept the dampness. We'll see. But yeah, hopefully race 2 is going to go a bit better. We'll find out. Well, race 2, that was really good fun. I mean, I'd rather have not started 19th to begin with, but nice move. Yeah, I'd rather not started 19th to begin with, but yeah, it's a good fight through. Start wasn't great, so didn't make much progress, and then at the restart, I was still 18th, I think, when I was counting back. So I had it all to do, and then ended up finishing 7th in the end. Good little battle with Stuart and Alex, which was good fun. It's hard when it's like that, when you've got very little wiggle room in terms of track surface, because you had kind of like one line for most of the circuit. So it's very reliant on someone making a mistake, and luckily we managed to either pressure in Alex into making one, or he made one of his own accord, and then that was enough for me to get by and then kind of drive away. Set the fastest lap as well, which is good. So hopefully we can get a kart like that in qualifying for SP60. But yeah, shame about race 1. The no podium streak in SP40 continues, but there you go, it is what it is. So moving on to qualifying for SP60, and see how we go. That was an interesting qualifying session. I mean, as you can tell, I'm donned up in wetsuit, and it started to rain just as the green flag dropped. Well, I say started to rain, it started to spit just as the green flag dropped for qualifying time. And the kart itself wasn't too bad. It felt quite heavy. It felt like you had to really work hard to get it round the circuit, which certainly wasn't the case in the second SP40 race. That one felt much lighter by comparison, but it's the nuances of different karts. It was good enough for 4th, and while it was quite clear at the front, he had a really good qualifying session. But yeah, I mean, row 2 isn't a bad thing, and especially with the fact that it's likely going to be wet for race 1, it's not as much of a handicap going into the first right-hander to be on the outside. The grip should be there. It's just dependent on whether or not someone's going to slide into you, and then it's negotiating the chicane. So we shall see how it goes. Hopefully get a good start, and then manage to keep towards the front, work forwards, and finish at least 4th. Right, so you join me back at the hotel, where I am dry now. It was rather wet, hence why there was no reflection on race number 1. Partly because very wet, partly because I was having a discussion with Barnaby, one of our the clerk of the course, about just to talk through the penalty for race 1, and I get it. The like overtaking before the line, fine, is what it is. But I think the wording and the way that the restarts were managed maybe could have been better. So yeah, is what it is. Ended up starting 8th for race 2, and then yeah, race 2 started really well. So started 8th, managed to get up into 4th reasonably quickly. Then we had a full course yellow. The restart on that full course yellow was messy. So Ryan fell foul of what I fell foul of in the first race by overtaking a back marker before the start line, which is unfortunate, and part of the reason I think that we need to maybe have a look at the way that the restarts are managed, to make sure that either back markers aren't in the way, or they are fully aware of what they need to be doing to make sure that the race start is effective as possible. But either way, Ryan got himself a penalty there, and that was going to drop him back 4 spaces. I managed to capitalise on Anwar getting caught out by the back marker as well. That got me up into 3rd, which was good. And then from that point on, it was kind of a bit of a stalemate. Another restart. People seem to be falling off quite a bit today, and it's just you need to drive within your confidence and capabilities when the circuit starts getting wet, which is unfortunately the amount of restarts was a little bit silly. And then after the second restart, the car just didn't feel as good. I mean, I was practically blind as well. The steaming on the inside of my visor, even though it's an anti-fog visor, was just crazy. And it took a couple of laps to actually be able to see. But yeah, the car didn't feel quite as good. And then eventually, I can't remember if there was another restart or what happened, but Anwar went for a move going through the last corner, which is fine, but it just didn't quite come out, I think, as he intended it to happen. And that ended up forcing me wide through the absolute river of a puddle that was on the outside, and that made the kart feel even worse. It really started feeling like it was bogging. That put me down to 5th, which Anwar would pick up a penalty for the move, which is, I don't think he'd say is unfair, it just is what it is. And that effectively put me in 3rd, because Ryan had a penalty, I was in 5th, and I was going to pick up on him. Anwar had a penalty, and then there was Scott Parker in front as well. And really, from there, I should have just been like, fine, 3rd it is. 3rd will be fine. And yeah, I was so determined to try and catch, maybe wouldn't have got Anwar, but I feel like I could have got Scott, maybe. The last corner, the last right, I was feeling really good, and able to carry a lot of speed through there, and I pushed it just a little bit too hard, and the curb on the outside, there was a bit of a puddle, hit that, dragged me onto the grass, and then game over. Well, not fully game over, but race over, effectively. Ended up 8th again, and I mean, a 3rd would have been really helpful in hindsight, rather than trying to push to try and get that next one. It was unnecessary. So, yeah, missed opportunity, I think, was the big one there. The first race was unfortunate, but it is what it is. And SP40 just didn't go my way today. And then yeah, just making mistakes. So not a particularly good Saturday, but there was some good racing in there. And up until that spin, I kind of feel like I'd done a pretty decent job in the conditions and felt pretty good. So take that positive. Move on to the next one at Shellington, which at this time of year could well be very similar conditions to today. And yeah, we'll see how we get on. But thanks very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and until next time, have a good one.